There were Gospels written about Jesus that aren't in the Bible. Are they lost? Are they easy to dismiss as later forgeries? Or can the case be made that any of them are contemporary with the four that we know and love? What is Jesus saying there? What's the secret and what's terrifying about it? After Jesus' ascension to heaven, the time of the church began with Pentecost. What we know from that time is captured in the Acts of the Apostles and the letters in the Bible. What also happened was the production of the very texts we hold in our hands, physically or digitally. Did they capture everything Jesus did and said every day? No, since most of the time Jesus spent on earth isn't recorded in the known Gospels. What did he do outside of them? And did someone remember and record these acts and sayings of the Lord later? This is what gets people interested in those lost or excluded Gospels. To answer all of these questions, we need to break it down to three main sections. Is it a problem for us Christians that there are more Gospels than those we have in the Bible? When world events happen, there are usually written accounts about them. Jesus' ministry was a major event. His life, death and resurrection had a significant influence on his followers, who spread the Christian faith throughout the Roman Empire and beyond. This influence led to various speculations and became part of other belief systems as well. That is why there are quite a few books that claims to be written by the apostles or other important biblical persons, even though they were written much later. This is a list of excluded Gospels. As you can see, most of them were written in the 2nd century or later. All the books in our New Testament were written quite early, which is partly why they spread so quickly in the Christian community. The later dating is a clue to why these Gospels didn't qualify to be part of the Bible. Another reason is that they are considered to be Gnostic. What is Gnostic? The short version is that the word Gnostic and Gnosticism are important when studying early Christianity and analyzing the modern-day church as well. Gnosticism was a collection of ideas and beliefs common among 1st century Jews and Christians. It was common to believe in a hidden God and that the world was created by a lower, evil god called a demiurge. The material world was seen as bad, as part of achieving gnosis, which means becoming enlightened, involved realizing that this world was corrupt. And not corrupt in the Christian sense, but corrupt since it was created by a corrupt demiurge. Gnostics aimed to understand these hidden truths of theirs, connect with the higher divine reality through their inner divine spark, and ultimately leave this world. This is quite opposite to who Jesus really is. He is God and he's chose to become incarnate, to take on flesh. That is what the word incarnate means. And by doing so, he blesses the good creation he's made by becoming part of it in a physical way. So the different Gnostic ideas spread in their texts and the Gospels I mentioned earlier are considered part of that tradition. But that is not terrifying. When are we coming to that? Don't worry, it's on its way. So that means that we can continue to exclude all these Gospels, right? No, not really. As my opening statement of this video implied, one of the Gospels may have been written much earlier than the others. You may have noticed a lack of date on one of them in the list you saw. The Gospel of Thomas is a short book that does not include any stories about Jesus' life. It is a collection of 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. So when is it written? Some suggest it is contemporary with the biblical Gospels, while others believe it dates to a later period, like the other Gnostic Gospels. The second camp seems to be more common. The Gospel of Thomas assumes an understanding of Gnostic thinking, with the demiurge and the divine spark and so on. That likely didn't exist before the 2nd century. And it lacks the theme of the end times, which was quite popular during the 1st century. But does Jesus say anything secret in them? And is there anything terrifying? There is a saying about secrets, reflecting a typical Gnostic thought that Jesus would withhold information and sharing it only with one individual or a small group. It attributes the following to Jesus. Jesus said to his disciples, "Compare me to someone and tell me whom I am like." Simon Peter said to him, "You are like a righteous angel." Matthew said to him, "You are like a wise philosopher." Thomas said to him, "Master, my mouth is wholly incapable of saying whom you are like." Jesus said, "I am not your master because you have drunk. You have become intoxicated from the bubbling spring which I have measured out." And he took him and withdrew him and told him 3 things. When Thomas returned to his companions, they asked him, "What did Jesus say to you?" Thomas said to them, "If I tell you one of the things which he told me, you will pick up stones and throw them at me. A fire will come out of the stones and burn you up." What Jesus told Thomas is not written down in the Gospel. There are theories as to what Jesus is thought to have said to Thomas, according to the author and the receiving community. One theory is that it refers to the 3 words in Hebrew, "I am who I am," which is what God said to Moses. Another, more exciting theory is that it refers to the 3 secret words in the Nazarenes sect believed to uphold the world. And those words are Kaulakau, Saulasau, Caesar. They are probably corruptions of the Hebrew words in Isaiah chapter 28 verse 10, which together with verse 9 is a mocking of the prophet Isaiah. But it says, and forgive my pronunciation, ki cha la cha, cha la cha, ka la ka, ka la ka, se'er sham, se'er sham. That can be translated to English as, for it is, do this, do that, a rule for this, a rule for that, a little here, a little there. Or, loosely translated as, abracadabra, abracadabra. So this is the kind of magical thinking that existed in antiquity as well as later on, where people believed that words could carry magical power in and of themselves. Okay, so now we have looked into the magical secrets that the author of the Gospel of Thomas claims Jesus said. Personally, I don't find it very persuasive since it doesn't resemble how Jesus speaks in the other Gospels. Now on to the last question. What about the terrifying saying? The very last saying of the Gospel of Thomas is numbered 114, and that's where we find it. Simon Peter said to him, "Let Mary leave us, for women are not worthy of life." Jesus said, "I myself shall lead her in order to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit resembling you males. For every woman who will make herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." It is Simon Peter who says the terrible sentence, "For women are not worthy of life." But Jesus seems to agree, since he tells Simon Peter that he will save her by making her male spiritually. This is quite far from the Jesus that we know from the Bible. So we have good reasons to not include the Gospel of Thomas in the Bible. We can safely set this Gospel aside and focus on the Gospels that we do have already in our Bibles. But why do we have these 4 Gospels? Answering that question will take its own video, which you can watch here. Or maybe another video about the Bible interests you. Since the Bible is a collection of books, there is a lot to learn about it.